Man, I could never get crops to grow, but at least I can get stuff to grow on my tractor. So today I hauled in the front end loader and the backhoes. You can see they're no longer on the trailer off of this Ford 820 that we're working on. Now I have a little bit of money to spend on this thing. I'm gonna buy a carburetor kit and some ignition parts, and hopefully we'll be able to fire this thing up. But first we need to deal with whatever all this stuff is that's growing on it. We're gonna pressure wash off as much of that if the stuff I sprayed on it won't kill it. We're gonna try to hose off as much grease and crap and crud as humanly possible. Then, and this is the big if with this tractor, we need to take off these inspection plates and see if anything in the transmission looks destroyed. And hopefully we'll get around to doing a compression test on it also, so we'll really know if we have something worth saving before I attempt to save it. Alright, so the tractor's had all night to dry off. I think we got pretty much all of the moss off of this thing, and you know, underneath all that it actually looks like a tractor. So I guess now we have to take off these covers and actually glance down inside this thing. I will say there's some very odd and kind of troubling wear patterns on this shift cover here. I don't really know what the heck could cause something like that. It's not really my definition of normal wear and tear, but you know, this thing's obviously lived a pretty rough life. However, with any luck, you know, these things were built to be hillbilly resistant, and hopefully this one proved to be. Here we go. Oh, hey, that's not so bad. Alright, so working from the front of this thing back, you can see I was able to free up this top cover a little bit. The main problem with this, however, is I can't really get the shift forks from the shift lever to disengage. At least I think that's what's going on. However, looking in here really doesn't look bad. I don't know how much of this, if any, y'all can see on camera, but I see some soupy, watery-ish, watered down oil, probably from rainwater coming in around that shift lever. And I can see the tops of the gears in there. They look a little bit dirty. I don't see any serious rust, however. You know, what I was afraid of is we're gonna open this up, it'll be bone dry or full of straight water, and everything in there is just gonna be an unrecognizable mass of rust. But we have that. Moving back, you can see this area, which is kind of ugly, I will grant you that, but it mainly just looks dirty, and I think I knocked most of this dirt loose when I took the cover off. And this, I don't really see any major problems with. I know it's kind of ugly, but believe it or not, on old equipment like this, it shouldn't be that much of a deal breaker. I think once I drain all this crap out of here, fill it up with diesel fuel, and drag it around the property here a little bit to splash around and knock some of this crap loose, it'll be, it'll come clean, and then we'll replace it with oil and we'll be good. Looking down in here, this is for the back axles. It's pretty much the same exact thing, you know, there's a little bit of oil in there, tiny bit of surface rust it looks like, but everything, we know it moves and it should come clean pretty nicely. So, how about that? Now, one thing I will say is interesting is on a lot of newer equipment, you know, if it's a dry clutch piece of machinery from like here back, except for the final drives, normally uses one fluid bath. And on some machinery, like some really new machinery with a wet clutch, it is just one liquid, one type of and quantity of oil from the back of the engine all the way back, including said final drives. This, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 different compartments for fluid. And I don't know when the last time was this actually had any real amount of oil in it. I don't know if somebody realized that this is separate from that. But whatever the case, looks salvageable so far. All right, so now we're just going to remove these mismatched spark plugs and run a compression test on this thing. Now, this engine was turning loose the other day, hopefully it still is, and you know, if this compression checks out, say that 10 times fast, then there's a good chance we really won't be needing to do all that much work to I'll get it going. Amazing metric spark plug threads on this old thing. All right, let's see. Just get this thing here kind of finger tightish. Take out this compression testing gauge. Plug it in, and well, we didn't have to use any of the adapters that come with this like we did on the Massey backhoe, so it's that easy to get it going. All right, let's set this out of the way. I gotta go grab some jumper cables and a battery. Starting with cylinder 4 because reasons. The sweet smell of electrical smoke. That's probably bad. Perhaps this would be the reason why this thing got parked. Yeah, all these connections look pretty decent to me. Yeah, we don't like that kind, not at all. Time to test cylinder 3. 4 was kind of a bummer, but you know, that's probably why they gave it 4 cylinders, in case 1 or 2 of them ain't working so good. Well, that is also not good. So I was wondering if this engine was able to get a good healthy breath of air to run this compression test on, and I figured I might as well pop off the old carburetor just to make sure. And that's when I noticed that the entire inside of this carburetor is what would appear to be one gigantic cobweb. Now let's revisit cylinder 4. But I'm still kind of concerned because that is not a lot of pressure. Not so great. Killing me, tractor. So those results were kind of disheartening, but you know, I would be lying if I said I didn't go into this fully expecting or knowing that there's a good chance that things would turn out the way that they did. So basically, I gotta think about what the heck I want to do with this thing next. You know, I got on an old tractor forum, started doing some research, and folks there say these engines, you know, when they're new, they're like 130, 140 PSI. They should run fine down to like 110 or so. And I'm thinking, man, I got about a third of that. Maybe we just dump in some snake oil and call it good. Yeah, so, you know, it's not that expensive to rebuild things like this. However, A, I'm not a mechanic, and B, I don't really need another tractor that bad. Not that that's ever stopped me before. So I gotta do some thinking and figure out exactly, you know, how much this will cost me and if it's really worthwhile. I think it's a really cool old tractor. I'd like to fix it up, but I don't know. Why don't you guys post in the comments below what you would do in this situation, and Lucky and I are gonna figure it out. Right, buddy? Sure, Dad, whatever. All right, thanks for watching, guys.